All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going through our EQ procedure. The way that the procedure is written is more from the tracking standpoint, where we're assigning our position to a channel and having the sound source play. But for this demonstration, we're just doing it from the mixing standpoint. So I've got a 4-band EQ opened up in Pro Tools here. And a step on the equalization procedure that says adjust a level on the channel's VU meter to be approximately -7 dB. The reason that they're doing this is to create more headroom. The headroom is because we're about to turn on the EQ and really crank up the volume on it. So if we're just constantly pinning the meter, we really can't see what frequency is giving us the most output level. So on an analog console, the EQ itself doesn't have its own output level, so we have to use the channel's VU and bring that to around -7 dB. Here, the EQ itself has an output level, so this becomes the output level of the EQ. So if I hit play right now, we can see that the input and the output match because I've got 0 input, 0 output. But if I start to boost something, right, we're already getting more output level. That's actually filtered out. But so I'm going to drop the output level to create a little more headroom, bring it down to around -7 dB or so. And now when I hit play, we can see that there's a 7 dB difference in between the input and the output, which is good because now I'm going to take this mid-range and I'm going to boost it. So as I take the mid-range and I boost it, I want to make the Q pretty small here. The reason being is this is part of the procedure. Turn on the EQ and you boost the mid-range up at about 12 dB or so. And now with a really tight Q, I can sweep through the frequencies and find out which one of these frequencies gives me the most output level. The one that does is the fundamental frequency or is closest to it. So these are complex waveforms. It's not just finding a single tuned in frequency. So I'm going to open the band just a little bit to give me a better listening experience when listening for it. So now I'm going to hit play and I'm going to sweep. We'll start all the way at the bottom here. So we can see right now my output is maxing at about -10. Now I'm going to sweep here. Right, we're already starting to get more level on the output. So at 100 hertz, I'm making it, up to around, I don't know, -5, -4 or so. Or, sorry, -8 or so. Now you can also start to hear it. You can start to hear some of the woodiness come out of that, out of the snare drum. So not only can your VU tell you, but, use your ears. You'll hear what frequencies is going to be the loudest or the richest or warmest on that instrument as you sweep through these different frequencies available. So we'll continue here to sweep. Now I'm watching that VU. Are we getting louder or quieter as I go through here? All right, we're up that -6 mark. Let's make the bandwidth just a little bit more. All right. It's getting quieter. All right. So back up. There we go. Almost peaking out there. -6 or so. Little further away, right? So now I'm using my ears, and my ears are really telling me it's around here, around 200 hertz or so. So now 200 hertz becomes our fundamental. We return the gain back down here to 0 dB. And we'll put an even 200 in there. Now that you found the fundamental doesn't mean that you have to now bring out 200 hertz, listen to the instrument, find out, paint a picture in your head of what you want it to sound like before you even start. So it sounds a little thin. I might want a little bit of woodiness out of it, meaning a little more of the warmth. So maybe around that 200 hertz, I'm going to bring that out. But rather than doing it in the low mids, I'm going to go down to the lows. We're going to put the lows here to 200. And as I bring the gain up, you're going to notice that we're bringing everything up from 20 hertz to, 200. I don't want to filter this. I want to have bandwidth control. So I want it to be notched. And I'm going to change here. And that way I can control the bandwidth. So we're going to go to around 200 and open the bandwidth up a little bit. All right, maybe, 6 dB, 5 dB a gain or so. So before. Right, almost sounds like you cut the highs out. Well, you didn't. You're just bringing out the lows that are competing more with the highs. So now, I might want to add a little more snap to it. So I want to get, and I want that snap to cut the mix a little bit. So the rule is that you have your octaves, which is doubling the frequency every time. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, so forth and so on. Where the harmonics is, you just choose the harmonic you want. If you want the fifth harmonic, you multiply it times the fundamental. So if our fundamental frequency was 200 hertz and I wanted the fifth harmonic, 5 times 200, right, be 1,000 hertz. So I know I want this snap at around, just because I've been doing this a while, maybe around 600 hertz. And so if I go octavely, 200, 400, 800, right? Or maybe the third harmonic. 3 times 200 would be 600. So I'm going to go to the third harmonic, and it is an odd harmonic, meaning it should cut and stand out a little more based off the fundamental frequency. So in the low mids, we'll go to 600, our third harmonic, and we're going to add a little gain to this. I'm going to open up the bandwidth a little more so you can really hear what we're hearing. Okay, now I'm going to dip it out just to show you if I take 600 out what it sounds like. All right. So there's no wrong or right way to EQ. If you wanted to take 600 hertz out and then bring up maybe another octave up out of that to add a little more snap, you can. You're still painting the picture the way you want to hear it, but using these tools to do it, and the science behind the tools to do it, it'll help you paint your art faster, as well as it's a really good ear training process. The more you do it, the more you hear things that you don't like. You can pick out frequencies and instruments without going through the procedure. So if we do something very quick, let's say we're gonna dip the mids at 600 here. So let's make 600 for sure on the dot. Okay. And let's say off of 600, I go up 2 octaves from that. So 600 times 2 would be 1,200. 1,200 times 2 would be 2,400. Let's go into our high mids. I'm going to go to 2,400. Oops, not 200. And let's bring some gain out on that. And I'm going to make the bandwidth a little sharper. So let me pull the band out before. All right, maybe open the bandwidth just a little bit and bring the gain down. Before with that band in. So it's definitely giving it a little more cut on the high end. And then we have the snare bottom to add to it. But Experiment, but play around. Make sure that when you are making these adjustments, do them mathematically first, and it'll start to help train your ear on what you're looking for. All right. I'm going to do a second video, but to go over more harmonics and octaves so you understand how that works with signal generators. So if you want to get a better concept of octaves and harmonics, watch the second video to this.